From the Pac-12 to the Big 12, we have number 18, Oklahoma State, against number 7, Texas. The Longhorns are 14.5-point favorites, and this game carries an over-under of 55. Very key figure there. Keep it in mind. This game kicks off at noon Eastern on Saturday on ABC from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. I've been to the Big 12 Championship at AT&T Stadium. I'm not a big fan of these neutral site things, but man alive, is that facility perfect for this event. It was actually the 2022 edition or 2021, pardon me, where Oklahoma State was at the inch yard line and got stopped by Baylor. That was just an absolutely incredible game. But this opened at Texas minus 11.5. Been all one-sided. They pushed it straight through 14. I think it touched 15.5 even for a moment here. And the over has taken some money too. It opened at 51.5. It's touched as high as 56. This is interesting in all of these games. There has been some wild movement on these totals. This won't be the last one I talk about. That's moved up and down and around and all that. Some injury notes, though. Texas running back Jonathan Brooks. This is old injury news, but it's worth bringing back up. He's out for the season towards ACL. He was the Big 12 leader in rushing yards, I believe. Or he was behind Ollie Gordon, but he was over 1,000-yard rusher in the games that he played. Xavier Worthy, JT Sanders, CJ Baxter, they're all expected to play. The story this weekend, though, we talked about it in the last game. I'll talk about it here. I'll continue talking about it. Which team is currently playing a better form than their opponent? You know what? Oklahoma State, since they played Oklahoma, they got blown out on the road by UCF. They allowed 30 points to Houston, and it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and they needed a multi-score comeback and 2 overtime periods to beat BYU. Now, on the other hand, Texas did have a stretch where they nearly blew that lead to Kansas State. They kind of squeaked by TCU, and then they needed a late push to kind of bury Iowa State. But then they go and play Texas Tech and beat them by 50. And between that Tech game and the Kansas game earlier, they've beaten those two opponents 97-21. So there is a second gear in which Texas can put their foot down and play like the best team in the country. We saw that when they walked into Tuscaloosa and took a win. Now, the weakness, though, of Texas defense is in their secondary. But I don't know that I trust Alan Bowman to take advantage of that. When Ollie Gordon, the running back, doesn't get going, neither does this team. And Texas's defense is 11th in rushing success rate, 8th in points per quality possession allowed. Shout out to Stats Award Parker Fleming on Twitter for those points per quality possession. Unbelievable work they does there. But Texas is also best in late down success rate on defense. And Oklahoma State, they're 97th in points per quality possession. So they can generate quality possessions, but they're not always finishing those in the end zone. I think that's a big deal for them there. Now, there is one big glaring issue, and it's one of the biggest issues nationally of any team, high-level team, I would say. Texas's red zone production offensively is just horrific, just awful. They're 9th in quality possessions generated, but get this, 116th nationally in finishing those quality possessions. Red zone play calling, red zone execution has been bad for Texas.
Will it be enough to bite them in this game, Brett? I don't know. You say this open Texas minus 11.5. It's risen to Texas minus 14.5. My numbers suggest that's still not enough. I have Texas minus 17 in this game with an 88% win expectancy for the Longhorns. To be honest, I think Texas is probably excited that they're not playing Oklahoma this weekend because it was very, very close to being that rematch, and I think my numbers would have made it a little bit closer. Now, Oklahoma State can use that to their advantage too, but we'll see how it plays out. Oklahoma State was picked to finish middle of the pack in the Big 12. My own numbers had them finishing 7th, I think, so right there in the middle. It's been a tremendous season in Stillwater. Truly, it has. 2 conference championship game appearances in 3 years. It's outstanding. Cowboy fans should be really proud of this program over the last decade plus. I mean, really, since Gundy's been there, their level of success and their level of relevance nationally has far exceeded what it's been historically. But even in recent years, they should be very, very proud of what this program's accomplished and what this team in 2023 has accomplished. I look at this and I say, where do the Pokes have a significant and meaningful advantage in this game in particular, this matchup against Texas at a neutral site with everything on the line for Texas? Texas has top 10 units on both sides of the ball. It's the number 8 defense. It's the best opposing defense Oklahoma State's number 35 offense has seen all season. And it's even worse on the other side where the Pokes rank number 52 defensively. The motivation of being an underdog, the motivation that provides, it's real. And so I don't want to discount that. There's also something to be said for Oklahoma State having the opportunity to send Texas packing out of the Big 12 with a loss, like they did to the Sooners in Bedlam. but I'm just not sure that motivation and that underdog I'm not sure that's enough to get the job done in this game. Could it end up being closer than 17 like my model predicts? Absolutely. Can they win the game outright? It has to be more than that for me. I don't think you can ride that alone, and I'm just not sure what it is. Ollie Gordon's great. Can he just carry the load? Is he healthy enough to do that? I don't know. Bottom line, I have Texas minus 17. It's just a 12% chance that Oklahoma State puts an end to the Longhorns' CFP hopes right there in Arlington at noon on Saturday.
In a conference that's been dictated by chaos and opportunity and the 2022 TCUs, like every year there's brand new teams making Arlington. Listen to this. Mike Gundy just completed his 10th 9-win season in 15 years.
He's an underrated coach nationally.
This team was dead to rights coming into the year. The best that we talked about it. I slandered them across this whole podcast about Alan Bowman being the best they can get, and here they are.
Brett, dead to rights coming into the year. Hold on, they were dead to rights during this year. If I pull up their team dashboard real quickly here, I mean, going into the bye, they were sitting there at 2-2. They just lost to South Alabama and Iowa State, an Iowa State team who at the time people didn't think was very good. Now they ended up having a pretty good year, but 2-2. Heading into a game at home against Kansas State, and it was like, oh boy. I think that game was on a Friday night. I remember watching it, and I was like, wait a minute. Look at this. They took advantage of the bye. This is a nice little story. Well, it was better than a nice little story. It turned out to be a season-long ride that they went on, minus that road trip to UCF. Still not sure what happened there.
The letdown of all letdowns after Bedlam, I think, can be attributed to that. Anyway, this line has been corrected. If you got in early, great job. That's an excellent bet. But it was the wrong number. It was a mistake is basically what got posted. Right now, as things stand, I think I lean over the total. Given that Texas is still on the outside looking into the college football playoff field, and Oklahoma State likes to run some tempo, and they do have some guys that can score, this to me seems like it's going to be quite a bit of offense in the Big 12 as we know it in their final chapter.